Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Andrea. We are going to do a 20-minute full body stretch. So let's all start in child's pose. So bring your knees as wide as the mat and your big toes together. Let your hips sink back toward your heels and let your forehead rest on the mat. From here, stretch your arms out in front of you. Spread your fingers wide. Yeah, so even starting to stretch the hands. Close your eyes. And start to come to your breath. Begin to slow down your inhales and your exhales. Can you make each breath a little bit longer and deeper than the breath before it? So during the practice today, we'll work on creating space in the body through the breath. This is really great when you're doing stretch classes, because using your breath, integrating it into your practice, allows you to open up the muscles a lot more. So we'll begin this even here in child's pose. See if you can begin to, while you deepen your breath, send breath into your back and your side ribs. Start to create space in that area of the body. Try to keep your belly hugging in toward your spine, and then send the breath back. Can you feel the ribs expand on each inhale and deflate on each exhale? And feel the muscles begin to open up in the back body. Maybe even see your back in your mind's eye. Right? So envision where you want to send the breath here. Begin to walk your hands over to the right. Let your head follow. So opening up left side body. Continue to let your hips sink back toward your heels. And if you want to intensify the stretch here, you can take your left hand and place it on top of your right. Continue to let your left shoulder relax down toward the mat. And again, come back to that focus of the breath. So can you send breath into your left side ribs? So try to breathe into my hand. Imagine that you're creating space between each and every rib here. So spreading the ribs apart on each inhale. And let all of those muscles in the left side of your back begin to open up. So it's really easy to get into these postures and just hold them, right? They're stretches. It's not hard, right? But to actually focus your breath and get into the poses so deep where you're forcing the muscles to open, that's where concentration and breath work comes into play. Start to walk your hands over to the left, open up right side body. Send your breath into my hand. Maybe even start to send the breath into the back of that right shoulder. Let the shoulder pull away and see if you can create space between your spine and your shoulder blade. Begin to crawl your hands back to center. Make your way to hands and knees, tabletop. So when you come up to tabletop, make sure that your hands are spread, or your fingertips are spread wide. Your wrists are directly under your shoulders. Your knees directly under your hips, hip distance apart. And it's really easy to get into this pose and bow into your low back. So can you pull your ribs back in space so that your ribs are hugging into your spine and your tailbone is slightly tucking to protect your low back. Moving through a few cat-cows. Inhale, open up your heart, lift your tailbone, let your belly drop, maybe take your gaze up to the sky. Exhale, round through your back, pull your shoulders away from your ears, scoop your low abdominals in and up. Inhale, open up your heart. Let your belly drop. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale, open the heart. Let the belly drop, take your gaze up to the sky. Exhale, round through the back. Push your belly button into your spine. Inhale back to a neutral spine. Shoot your right leg out behind you. Come onto your tippy toes. Use your hands to just push your body back into that leg. So start to open up the calf and the back of the knee. Stay engaged in your arms here. Grip them out with your fingertips and spin your biceps toward the front of the room so that you're allowing the shoulders to open up. Roll to the inside edge of your right foot. Take your right arm to the sky, coming to supported Vashisthasana, or supported side plank. Grip the mat with the left fingertips. Stay really grounded through that left hand, and then start to reach the right arm up and over the head, coming into a full side body stretch. Feel the line of energy running all the way from the outside edge of the right foot, up the side of the body, and through the fingertips of the right hand. So the body is in one long line. Keep your back body full here. Take one last inhale here. Take right arm back to the sky. Exhale, hand and knee back to the mat, coming back to tabletop. Moving through a few cat-cows. Inhale, open the heart, lift the tailbone, let the belly drop. Exhale, round through the back. Pull the shoulders away from the ears, scoop low abdominals in and up. Inhale, open the heart. And exhale, round. Inhale back to a neutral spine. Shoot the left leg out behind you, coming onto tippy toes. And again, just push the body back. Let the back of the calf, the back of the knee begin to open up. And come back to your breath here. Where can you soften? Are you holding tension anywhere? A lot of times when we get into these poses, tension will come up somewhere. I bite my lips. Some people grip their toes. Some people furrow their brows. I call it the Will Smith, right? Always have the very worried expression on your face when you practice. So where can you soften here? This is where that hyper-awareness of the body comes into play. Roll to the inside edge of the left foot. Take your left arm to the sky, supported Vashisthasana. Feel the heart begin to open here. So I don't want you to think of this as a back bend. You want to keep the back body full, but you also want to open the heart. Start to reach the left arm up and over the head toward the front of the room. Spin the pinky down. Good, so you're letting the shoulder open up. And then peel the left shoulder back. Take your gaze underneath your arm toward the sky. And see where you can create more space here. So that exercise we worked on in the beginning of class, where can you send the breath in this pose? Inhale, left hand to the sky. Exhale, hand and knee back to the mat. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, make your way back to down dog. Slowly pedal the feet out, so bending one knee and then the opposite, maybe doing it with the breath. So taking it as fast or slow as you want, just depending on how your body feels. And then find your down dog. Let your heels sink a little deeper toward the mat. Lift your hips a little bit higher. And really enjoy this pose. Right? Sometimes we forget how good this pose feels because we come into it so many times during a class. So how can you really enjoy this pose? How can you experience it and embrace it? From here, step your feet wider than the mat. Coming into a wide-legged downward facing dog. And find a little more space here. So let your heart sink a little bit deeper. Maybe even take your gaze up to your belly button. Start to walk your hands back to meet your feet, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Grab opposite elbows. Let your body hang. And you can bend your knees slightly here if you have any tension in your low back or if your hamstrings are tight. Bent knees are a great option. And feel free to move it around. So if you want to, swing it back and forth, or if you want to shake the head yes, shake the head no, if that feels good. And again, when you come back to center, come back to that focus of the breath. So can you breathe into the middle of your spine? So your thoracic spine. Can you send the breath there and let that area open up? Any forward fold is a really great opportunity to breathe into the back. Coming back to center, without snapping the arms, just let go of the hands, let the arms dangle. From here, inhale up to a flat spine. Reach the crown of the head toward the front of the room. Tuck your tailbone, scoop your low abdominals in and up, and let your shoulders relax down your back. From here, bring your right arm your right hand to the outside of your left leg. And you can bring it to your ankle or your calf or maybe even to your thigh. It just depends on how open you are. Take your left arm to the sky, coming into a twist. So I want you to keep a really straight spine here. So you still want to lift. You want the heart to be open and the crown of the head to reach toward the front of the room. Take your left hand, place it on your sacrum. So that flat bony part right at your low back where your spine meets your tailbone, see if you could balance a teacup there. If you can, you're good. If you can't, then shift the hips around until it feels balanced, and then take your left arm back to the sky. Bring your left hand behind your back, reach towards your right inner thigh, coming into a half bind. Peel your left shoulder back and let your heart open to the sky. Maybe even take the gaze up over the left shoulder if that feels good on your neck. Bring your left arm back to the sky, reach the fingertips toward the ceiling, and bring left hand back to meet right, coming into a forward fold. Bring your hands around your ankles or around the backs of your ankles. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, fold the body in a little bit deeper. Bring your elbows out to the side and use your biceps to pull your torso towards your thighs. Bring both hands to the mat. Inhale to a flat spine. So coming up into our flat back again. Tuck your tailbone slightly. Scoop your low abdominals in and up so you're keeping a really flat spine and you're staying super engaged. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right leg, right arm to the sky. Twisting in the opposite direction. Again, keep a really straight spine here. So can you continue to lengthen through the crown of the head? See, this is beautiful. You don't want to round into the pose, but you want to continue to lengthen through the spine with the pose. Take your right hand, place it on your sacrum. Make sure that you could balance a teacup, maybe shift it if the hips don't feel squared, and then bring the right arm back to the sky. Bring your right arm behind your back, reach towards your left inner thigh, coming into a half bind. Now peel your right shoulder back and let your heart open to the sky. Don't lose that length in the spine. So continue to lengthen through the crown of your head as you twist. Maybe take your gaze up over your right shoulder toward the ceiling if that feels good. Bring your right arm back to the sky. Take an inhale here. Exhale, right hand to the mat, coming into your wide-legged forward fold. Walk the hands out, making your way back to a wide-legged downward facing dog. Heel toe the feet hip distance apart. Inhale your right leg to the sky. Stack right hip on top of left. Let your knee bend. So just starting to get into the hip. Keep your shoulders squared to the front of the room. And then do some circles with the foot, getting into the ankle. And switch direction. So you could do circles with the foot or the knee, either or, since we're all doing something different, but both are right. So if you want to get into the hip, you can do circles with the knee. If you want to get into the ankle, you can do circles with the foot. You can do both if you're feeling, frisky. Okay, come back to the pose. Let your chest sink a little bit deeper. Good, lift the knee a little higher. Let your left heel sink toward the mat. Make sure the shoulders are squared, so shift just a little bit, good. Start to lengthen the right leg toward the back of the room, flex the foot, and then step right foot to meet left. Good, take your left leg to the sky. Reach your heel to the back of the room. Let your chest sink, start to stack left hip on top of right, let your knee bend. So again, make sure that the shoulders are staying square to the front of the room. That right shoulder is going to have a tendency to shift back. So can you bring it forward? And then again, either doing circles with the knee if you want to get into the hip, or with the ankle, or with the foot if you want to get into the ankle. So whatever feels better for you here. Yogi's choice. I always say I like options in my life. I like options in my yoga class. And then maybe switch direction. And then make your way back to the pose. Back to that deep hip opener. Let your chest sink another inch. Lift the knee a little bit higher. Yeah, shift right there. Good. Begin to straighten your left leg. Good. Step left foot down to meet right, downward facing dog. From here, lower onto your knees. We'll come into virasana, or hero's pose. So bring your knees together or hip distance. This is a great place to use a block or a pillow. You have lots of things in your house that you can use as props, so take a look around. If you're in your living room, maybe there's a pillow on your couch that you want to use to place underneath your butt, so you give yourself a little bit of height. Get your feet as wide or a little bit wider than your hips. Make sure that all of your toes are pointing straight back. So you don't want your feet to be out at all. You want to be on the tops of the feet with the toes pointing back. And then just let the hips fall in between the feet. So this is a great stretch for your knees. If it's super uncomfortable, again, give yourself something to sit on. That'll make the stretch not as intense. Bring your hands to your lap. Place one hand on the other palm. Close your eyes. And just breathe into the pose. So the breath is going to be what gets you through this pose when it starts to get really uncomfortable. So can you focus on the breath instead of focusing on the pain or how uncomfortable it is? If this is enough, stay here. Now, if you want to take the pose deeper, you can start to make your way back onto your forearms. And this may be where you're at. This also gives you the opportunity to open your heart, right? And start to send breath into the chest. Start to lengthen the collarbones across the chest. If you still want to take it further, you can come into the full pose, making your way all the way onto your back, stretching your arms up and over your head. Close your eyes. And breathe. So Eckhart Tolle says that one way to stay present is to find the silence between the sound. So how can you find the stillness between the postures, or the calmness between the madness, right? So being in this pose when your mind wants to freak out because your body is in a really deep stretch, how can you find the calmness there? How can you come to the breath and slow it all down? How can you keep the heart at a steady pace? Slowly start to make your way out of the pose. Coming on to your hands and knees, stretching one leg behind you at a time. It should feel really, really nice. Make your way back to hands and knees, cross your ankles behind you, and just roll over your feet, coming to sit. Bring your feet hip distance apart, flat on the mat with the knees pointing toward the sky. Grab your shins, moving through a few seated cat-cows. Inhale, shift forward, open up your heart, take your gaze up. Exhale, round through your back, let your body hang. Again, inhale, open up your heart, shift forward. Exhale, round. Last one, inhale, shift forward, open the heart. Exhale, round. Inhale back to a neutral spine. Bring your arms straight out. Roll down to a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to lay all the way on your back. Stretch your arms out over your head. Stretch your toes forward. So just have the body in one long line, stretch it all out. Maybe stretch the arms over to the left and then to the right. Make your way back to center. Place one hand on the other palm. Bend the elbows slightly. Place your feet flat on the mat with your knees pointing toward the sky. Bring the insides of your feet to touch and just let the knees fall open, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana. Close your eyes. Let your low back sink into the mat. And with each exhale, let the hips open a little bit more. With each exhale, soften into the pose. With each exhale, find something to release. And there's 2 kinds of releases in yoga, from my experience. The first release is physical, right? So it's that muscle release. It's when the muscles start to open up and let go. The second release is an emotional release. So we hold on to a lot of stuff emotionally. A fight, or a disagreement, or something traumatic happens to us, we get sick or in a car accident. And that stuff, that trauma manifests in our muscles, right? And that's why a lot of times the muscles are tight, because we live these super stressful lives, especially living in Los Angeles, which is where we are at now. So which release is easier for you? For me, the physical release is easier. I hold on to stuff emotionally, I just can't help it. So for my muscles to relax takes a lot less effort than for me to let go of stuff emotionally that I'm holding on to. So which one is easier for you? Find it, right? And then just let it go. One will follow the other. So if you let go of emotional stuff, the physical openness will follow. If you let go of the physical stuff, if you let the muscles relax, then that emotional stuff will start to make its way out as well. So find some sort of release here. And I don't care which one it is. One is not more right than the other. So see what you can let go of. From here, place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Feel the breath move in and out of your body. And can you bring it back to that long, deep breath that you had in the beginning of the class? Can you become really conscious of the quality of your breath here? Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale, let it go out your mouth. Again, take a deep inhale. Exhale, let it go out your mouth. One more time, take a deep breath in. Release, let it go. Feel free to stay in this position as long as you like. May the light within me honor the light within you. Namaste.